We are back with the Buffalonian podcast. I'm Joe Cali. As always, I'm joined by none other than Dom Loss. And Dom, it's Super Wild Card weekend. It has officially arrived. The Bills
It's
play.
no longer a super wild card. Just wild. They took out the
Oh, they took
super.
the
They
Super away?
rebranded.
Why? Why would they do that?
I, your guess is as good as mine.
Interesting. Okay, so it's just, I guess, Wild Card weekend. The Bills play the Denver Broncos at Highmark Stadium. Kickoff 1 p.m. on Sunday, a normal time, which I'm excited about. It's not a weird Saturday time. But, Dom, we're going to dive in here, get into the X's and O's, figure out what the Bills have to do to claim victory. It's our usual betting on the Bills. Previewed it a little bit on our episode on Tuesday, just kind of the stakes, the drama, the story, if you will. But today we dive right in. Base thoughts, though, before we dive right in. This Broncos team, I guess, right? Little frisky, came off a big victory against the Kansas City practice squad last week. Could be riding that energy high. We don't know. What do you think? What's going to happen?
Well, the Bills are 8.5-point favorites, second largest spread of the weekend, behind the Ravens over the Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
I think just kind of your baseline thoughts have to be, at the end of the day, whatever you think about the Broncos team or this Bills team, we have Josh Allen and they don't.
Right.
And that's as big an advantage as you can have against a rookie quarterback on the road in his first playoff start. So I think that's kind of where it all starts. And yeah, the Bills are going to have, the Broncos, I like the word frisky that you just used. Like, they do a lot of tough things on defense. They're going to do a lot of really good things on offense. Sean Payton's a really good coach offensively, and Vance Joseph is a very good defensive coordinator. So they'll have a good plan, and it's really up to the Bills coaches, I think, to prepare these guys. And the Bills are a better football team, and again, they're at home. They have the playoff experience. I mean, Denver hasn't been in the playoffs since they won the Super Bowl in 2015. So
Yeah.
not a lot of guys on that roster kind of have experience for this moment. And I mean, maybe that could be dangerous where they just play super free, but maybe they play super tight. So I will know a lot probably in the first 10 minutes of the game. But yeah, just Josh Allen versus Bo Nix. What a matchup.
Yeah, Bo Nix, he's had a great rookie season. I mean, great might be a little bit of a stretch. He's been a rookie who's kind of shown flashes of greatness. That Bengals game, that extremely long throw he made, he's looks like he's going to have a home in Denver for quite a while if he keeps up this play and improves upon it. But for a rookie, very impressive. So frisky's the word for the Broncos. I do like that as well. So offensively, Josh Allen and the Bills, prone to slow starts throughout the season, right? Can't do that in the playoffs. It's a one and done, essentially. You gotta give it your best. You gotta get out there, get in front of a rookie team like this who can be frisky. And that I think at the end of the day, Josh Allen's going to be a big part of it on the ground, through the air. Their linebackers, I think, can get got, if you will. So I think it's going to be a little over the middle game, and the running backs, the running game for the Bills, I think will have a big game as well. James Cook and the running back by committee back there for the second rotary back. But I don't know. I think it's going to be just a regular Joe Brady formulaic win. Like, get the ground game going to start. The passing game will come. Allen will do what he does. And this Broncos defense, I think is good, but it's not giving me anything that we should be, oh my God, this game's going to flip on its head. Like, what do you think?
I disagree a little bit. I think the Broncos defense is pretty good. They're kind of a little bit like Detroit, but maybe a little bit more talented at the moment, where they're going to play a lot of man, they're going to blitz, they're going to send some pressure. And listen, that's kind of Josh's strength, like setting pressure, play man coverage, and especially in the playoffs, like, again, like, I would be spamming his over on rushing yards, like, in attempt. Like, this is kind of when the beast gets unleashed a little bit. You know, we didn't see him run a lot against New England and the Jets at the end of the year, and we saw him against the Rams, against the Lions. Like, those two games, he really, when they needed him, like, those games, he used his legs, and they used a lot of designed runs. I think we're going to see a lot of that in this game. And I think the Broncos, defensively, they kind of come in with two advantages most of the time, which is, one, they have Pat Surtain, who, against a lot of teams, would cause a lot of issues because normally, like, a team has a Stephon Diggs like the Bills did last year, and he kind of travels with them and takes them away.
Right.
But right, match up against Amari Cooper, and the Bills have shown that they could put up, look at what happened against Detroit. Like, Amari Cooper didn't get a single target. The Bills still scored 48 points. So, yeah, I'm a little concerned. Dan Orlovsky made a good point about Surtain's presence of the Bills like to get into 4-by-1 sets. And if the one receiver is Amari Cooper and they just kind of put Pat Surtain on them and they go, all right, we're going to play that one-on-one. Usually you do a 4-by-1 and like a safety might shade over the top of the one on the one side, so that's one less person in the box.
Yeah.
Or by the 4 sides, so you could throw the bubble screen or you could run the ball. But Denver is kind of equipped where they could just leave that corner completely on an island, still have that extra person in the box, and have the extra person in the 4-by-1 and won't get killed one-on-one on that with Amari Cooper. So I think that's a little concerning. Maybe with the value of Surtain, but and then finally their D-line, Zach Allen's had an all-pro type year. Nick Bonito's been really good. John Franklin Myers is a really good edge. Jonathan Cooper, DJ Jones, like they have a really good D-line against the run and the pass. I think that's a little bit of the Bills' strength, though, is their offensive line and Josh's ability to, Denver really feasts on sacks. They had 63 sacks, and we've seen Josh like less than, 1 sack every 10 pressures.
Yeah,
every
he's
10
essentially
pressures, he's pretty much sacked, which is insane. Not dropbacks, but pressures.
Yeah, he's essentially the anti-sack Josh Allen. That's what he is back there.
Avoiding negative plays. So I think that's, again, so you see like the two advantages that Denver have against most teams. I think Buffalo does neutralize their matchup. That's why I'm saying I think they match up a little bit well, because I think they neutralize that a little bit with Josh's ability to not get sacked and avoid negative plays, and the Bills kind of not having a true number one and being creative, and they do a lot of rub routes against man coverage. And again, I think you alluded to it, I think this is a big game for Ty Johnson, especially out of the backfield. We saw it against Detroit, going over 100 yards. I think we could see a similar game. I think these linebackers, again, that they're going to have to play man coverage on these running backs. I think that's advantage Bills, and I think they could, if Joe Brady can find a way to isolate them one-on-one in space, I think the Bills are going to have a lot of success moving the ball.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you, and I just, I don't want to take it too lightly, like the rest of the national media, right? Jump into Baltimore already, Bills Baltimore, but you got it. The Broncos are a admirable team that you have to face, and they have an admirable head coach as well, minus Bountygate, really. Sean Payton, who knows what he's doing. He won a Super Bowl with New Orleans. So defensively for the Bills, with Bo Nix, rookie quarterback, it's clear, get pressure on him. That'll force him to make mistakes. But he also, you've seen him kind of move around, avoid the sack every so often, right? So he's kind of, I guess, it's not the biggest worry, but getting pressure on him is number one. And then Cortland Sutton, that is the priority, I would say, for the Bills defense, is locking him down. He and Bo Nix have a connection, and Cortland Sutton's just phenomenal. I had him in a few fantasy leagues, and he made some plays this season. And, is a big reason the Broncos are 10-7 and in a wild card spot. So you got to shut down not Pat Surtain. That's the cornerback. Cortland Sutton, get pressure on Bo Nix, make some mistakes, and then the D-line really just needs to show up and stop any run game that they try and put on you. And in my opinion, I think they've played up to this moment. At Oliver, those guys, they're going to come out swinging in the wild card. I think they're going to have a good week. What do you think?
I think, we alluded to it on the other side of the ball. I think the Bills offense, well, both teams have really gaudy numbers. The Broncos defense and the Bills offense. I think the Bills actually match up pretty well with Denver and can really cause problems. I think that Buffalo, the defense, does not match up well at all with this Broncos offense. I think that's kind of the concern. Is I think the Broncos have a good offensive line, and I think they're better than the Bills D-line. And so if the Bills D-line kind of gets pushed around, for all of a sudden it's a one-score game in the fourth quarter, right? And they could do long, sustained drives, which the Bills kind of invite. And so I think that's definitely a concern. I'm not really that concerned about Sutton per se. I think they could throw a deep bomb to him, and his physicality could be an issue. But I think Benford and Douglas have been fine all year on the outside. I think, a big problem I think for the Bills is that they haven't they've been a little inconsistent against the run. This isn't the greatest rushing team, but I don't know. I think we could see the offensive line kind of dominate in long drives. The Bills have been terrible with moving quarterbacks on the run, like
Yeah.
rollouts. They've
Look at
been the worst team.
Stafford, the
They've
Rams
been the
game.
worst, well, not Stafford, but they've been the worst team in the NFL when a quarterback purposely rolls out on those rollout plays. They've been the
Mm-hmm.
worst team in the NFL defending them. And the Broncos like to do that. And they've also been terrible at defending passes behind the line of scrimmage. And you're going to see a lot of screens. You're going to see a lot of swing passes to the running back ends because the Bills linebackers play so deep that even when you catch it 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage, you're probably not going to have first contact. What, a gain of 3? And if you break a
Yeah.
tackle, all of a sudden it could be an explosive. So I think that is a big concern, is that this short passing game that kind of Denver lives by a little bit, and a good offensive line. So are you going to get a lot of pressure on Bo Nix? Again, I think an advantage has to be that this is a rookie quarterback
Mm-hmm.
making his first career start. I don't care how cerebral he is or how mature, right? Like, you're
It's an
going
advantage.
into a
Yeah.
hostile environment. And I'm not the weather is not an advantage because Denver plays in. I mean, Denver is cold too.
Their elevation is more. It's colder
Yeah,
sometimes
it's
than it is here. Yeah.
not
Like
an advantage, but the Bills have to find a way to pressure him and make him force a couple mistakes. Because again, this is going to be a loud environment. And it's going. I mean, however mature you are, like there's definitely going to be some nerves for him for his first year start in the playoffs. So
mm-hmm.
I think the Bills have to have really two things go their way. One, they need their interior defensive line to play well. They need a big game from Ed Oliver. And listen, Ed Oliver last postseason had a really good game against Pittsburgh and then sucked against Kansas City. They
Yeah.
need Pittsburgh Ed Oliver and Daquan Jones to play well. Like if their DTs play well and they tackle, they're going to have to tackle running backs in space, Marvin Mims, and kind of contain Bo Nix because the scramble is an issue. Like that's part of their offense, his athleticism. If they're able to do those kind of 2 to 3 things, I think they're going to have success and will get stops. Again, also I said the Broncos like to go on long sustained drives. Like if they get one negative play, that really impacts what they're able to do.
Mm-hmm.
One penalty, one drop, one sack, one tackle for loss. Like one little mistake from Denver, that's kind of what Buffalo has to focus on, is make Denver make one little mistake in a series of downs, and then they could get off the field.
Yeah, and you mentioned the screen game. That's literally the Bills' kryptonite. If we were looking at Superman, they just can't handle screen passes for whatever reason. That's just it's expected at this point. But you're absolutely right. I think it's going to be an entertaining game. But the Broncos can just chew the clock and just run a drive right down the field. X factor wise, if you had to pick a Buffalo Bill that's going to turn the tide in this game, maybe you already alluded to him. I don't know where your head's at. But who's your X factor in this matchup again? The could be the final matchup of the season. I can't stress that enough. We cannot take this too lightly. This could be the final matchup of the season. Like it is the final matchup of the season, Dom. Who's your X factor? Lay it on.
I'll go Ty Johnson. I think he is the X factor. I mean, listen, I already kind of alluded. I'll give a second one slightly. If Codgerton can't go, the one injury the Bills have,
Yeah.
I do think Shakir is kind of become an X factor because he's this backup punt returner and he hasn't returned a punt all year. So that is a concern. Connaughton has the hamstring injury. I don't need him to return the punts. I just need him to field them if he can play.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, I think Ty Johnson's actually the biggest X factor in the game because, again, I think he has a mismatch against these Broncos linebackers. Again, if the Broncos are going to play man, and the Broncos like to blitz. So, he's their best pass pro back, too. So I think this is a really good matchup for Ty Johnson. We saw that against Detroit, him catch balls down the field against the linebackers on the wheel routes, on the scramble drills. So I think this is a big Ty Johnson game. I think he finds his way in the end zone, and I think he has 80 yards receiving. I think this is a game for the Bills running backs to really dominate through the air, and their best back through the air is Ty Johnson.
Yeah, I like it. I do. You mentioned Surtain on Amari Cooper, right? Man-to-man coverage. My X Factor is going to be big man Keon Coleman, contested catch guy. I think he's going to be big on some of these, third down plays. You need a guaranteed first. Khalil Shakir, I think, will be big too. Not a slight on him by any means, but your contested catch, go up for the basketball, go up for the layup, right? That's Keon Coleman. I think he's going to make a couple splash plays. He's had a couple, he dropped a few last week. We talked about it in a game where it's just kind of like, oh, you should be blah, blah, blah. But I think Keon Coleman might be my X factor just on the contested catches in a big play like that. What do you
No, that's a good one because
Yeah.
I think he has to play well because I think
Yeah.
if they put Sertan on Cooper, then Riley Moss, the other outside cornerback, is going to be on Coleman, and Riley Moss is a good cornerback, but we saw kind of with T. Higgins, if you get a little physical and able to you can make contested catches with his. I mean, he'll have good coverage, but bigger receivers can give him a little issues with contested catches, and that's exactly what Keon can provide. So, yeah, I think Keon, a couple 50-50 balls down the sideline, I want to see a little, test it out, maybe draw a PI or come down with a thing. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, and you know what? For my take on Ty Johnson being able to replace James Cook, I have to say that's an admirable pick for MVP. Or X Factor, excuse me. Now we move on to MVP.
That one.
Yeah. Now we move on to MVP. I don't know. I don't want to be basic, but at the same time, he's going to have to avoid a ton of sacks. He's going to have to make plays down the field. It's going to be, I think, every game of these playoffs, these 2024-25 playoffs, is going to be Josh Allen has to be the MVP to make it work. What do you think?
I think it's going to be Ty Johnson.
You think? Oh, you're double dipping.
I think he's going to have a score and 80 receiving yards. I think he's going to have a big game.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to play a lot. So I think
it.
this is a big Ty. I think this is the Ty Johnson game.
Okay. The definitive Ty Johnson experience is going to be the Broncos wildcard game.
Back at this game in 10 years, it's going to be like Bills Broncos, quote unquote, the Ty Johnson game.
Yes. Okay. All right. Ty Johnson built his career on the Bills Broncos wildcard matchup. But okay, Allen and then Ty Johnson. At the end of the day, it comes down to the score. Doesn't matter who played well, who played, not so well, I guess, to put it like that. But it's you lose and you're out at this point. You got to survive in advance. I think the Bills win this game. I think it might get a little. I think the Broncos are going to be a little frisky. I think they're going to put some points on the board, elongate drives, drive some time off the clock, and really kind of make their presence known. Luckily, it is at Highmark Stadium at home and in Buffalo. All that noise for a rookie quarterback too. I know he's played in other places that do the same thing. He's in the division with Kansas City. He plays in Arrowhead, but still think it makes a difference. Give me the Bills. I don't want to go too high scoring. I don't want to lay it on too bad, but I'd say the Bills 28, the Broncos 17. I think it's going to be one of those games. What do you think?
Yeah, I think this is going to be kind of a one-score game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like there's kind of two ways this game goes. Either the Bills. I don't know. It's kind of weird because that game got interesting too. Like the Bills against Pittsburgh and Miami, the last two wildcard games, did a really good job getting out to big leads, and then they kind of made some unforced errors. Like the Miami game, a couple of Josh picks, the defensive touchdown given up.
Yeah.
That was a weird game. And then the Pittsburgh game, I think people forget how kind of weird that game got. They were up 21-0. They scored it was 21-7. They went to kick a field goal, and it got blocked. And then Sam Martin pulled his hamstring.
Yeah.
And then, that game got really weird. That was a one-score game. And if Shakir kind of doesn't make that play, that would have got strange. Bass missed a chip shot. I don't know. That was a really weird game. And I think, listen, there's two ways this game goes. Either they do the Pittsburgh thing and they just, they do a better example is this. Either they do, the Patriots thing where they start off hot and they just annihilate them.
Yeah.
Or we get I feel like we get kind of a Colts game where it's kind of they're losing late in the first half, or, it's back and forth a little bit here in the second half, and God, it's a one-score game.
Oh, Bills Mafia's blood pressure's through the roof.
Yeah. I got 27-20 Bills.
Okay. I think it could go that way. This is a game where truthfully, if making these predictions, it's one of the tougher ones I think I've had to make this season.
One thing I will say, though, a prediction I will make confidently, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, I don't care. I would see how much money Dawson Knox first touchdown scorer
Mm-hmm.
because Dawson Knox has scored the first touchdown against the Steelers last year in the wild card round, the
Yep.
first touchdown against the Dolphins, the first touchdown against the Pats, and the first touchdown against the Colts.
Look at you looking
So
out for the betting
he's on
lines
a
out there.
four-year heater of scoring the first touchdown of the game.
Do you think they know that? Do you think he knows that? Is that like something they're gonna,
I don't
you
know.
know?
All I'm saying is that we can make it five. I'm just giving the public some information.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Four
I'll
straight
look.
years he scored the first. I think he scored the first touchdown in the game too. It's not even like it's the first touchdown for the Bills. Like he easily scored the first touchdown in the game because it was
Okay.
3-0 Colts.
I'll look
So
into those odds for sure. I do have a question for you though. Before we wrap up here, what is your ideal path to the bowl? Do you think the Steelers get it done next week? Do the Chargers roll into town? Like, what is your ideal path? And then I'll give mine and we'll wrap up.
wow, all this talk about I love how all this talk this entire pod, even the pre-pod, you're like, dude, I don't want to. They've already put the ads out for the Ravens Bills. Everyone's talking about. I don't want to do this.
Yeah. Well, I'm
Yes.
not. Listen, I'm not jumping at.
Yes,
This is
yes,
a
yes.
hypothetical path to the Super Bowl. This is not Bills Ravens money line next week. You know.
I think the ideal path. The ideal path is that they don't play Baltimore.
Yeah.
Um, like I think I'm fairly comfortable with any of the Houston or the Chargers coming to Buffalo.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I'm not gonna say I'm comfortable, but like I think the Bills can go to Kansas City and beat Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
I think realistically they're gonna have to go through Baltimore, and I think that's just a terrible matchup for the Bills. And I listen, it's a little different maybe because this time around because you have some of your defensive starters back, like you have Milano, Bernard, basically your entire second level was backups, and you have the Cooper piece, and the offense is a little bit better.
Yeah.
But the Ravens defense is a lot better than it was. Um, what was it, week 4? Like they made the switch to put Kyle Hamilton
Yeah.
back in his
Hamilton
safety
went to
spot,
the. Yep.
and
Yep.
that's been kind of massive for them. So I don't know. I don't want to think too far ahead. It is in Buffalo. But the Ravens are the one team that it's like that's just a bad matchup for the Bills. Like that's a team that matches up that wants to play the Bills, and that's a little scary. Would I be picking the Ravens? I don't know, but 1 week at a time. I think ideally you would want this. Ideally, we should all be Steeler fans on Saturday because
Yes, for our friend Phil. Yes.
Baltimore is just a bad matchup. Realistically, I think they're going to have to go through Baltimore and Kansas City, which is going to be a hell of a time because either this is going to be this is to kind of overview this playoff, like this is a big moment for Josh.
Mm-hmm.
I think this has to be his run. Like this is kind
Yeah.
of you're gonna probably play Lamar in round 2, and I'm sorry, but like as much as I love Josh and I think he's the second best player in the game, at least behind Mahomes, and I think he's close to cap a little bit. Like, if he loses again at home, like I'm sorry, at some point you can't lose 3 straight games at home, 3 straight years at home in the divisional round.
Yeah.
Like, you just kind of can't. And I know people are gonna be like, "Oh my God, he's lost to Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, and in this case it'd be Lamar." And it's like, okay, but then he's lost to all 3 of his counterparts.
Yeah. His
You know what I'm saying? At
quarterbacks at the top
home.
of the conversation. Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
everyone says, those are the undisputed top 4, and if you have home losses to all 3 of them in 3 straight years, I don't know. It's hard. Like I think he would still be 3 because I think Burrow missing the playoffs and Josh actually getting MVP would be mattersome. But I think Lamar would hop him if he beats him at home.
Yeah.
And this is why it's massive because if Josh gets this done, conquers Lamar, goes to Kansas City, slays all his demons, and they win the Super Bowl, like, do I think all time he's better than Mahomes? No. But, like, I think Josh would have a really good case to say, I'm the best player in the damn world.
Yep.
Because I would not have only just beaten Mahomes twice in the same year. I would beat him at his place with everything on the line for them for the three-peat. I would have beaten Lamar in a big spot. I would have probably just won the MVP, and I would have just won the Super Bowl against probably Philadelphia, or, Detroit, or whoever, who's probably going to be a good team. So this is a legacy. I think this is a legacy defined. Because listen, I don't think you could have another situation where they lose 27-24 to the Ravens and he plays well, but not well enough.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, I don't think that plays. I don't think that plays. I think he has to win. At some point, you have to get over the hump. And that may be too unfair to put all the pressure on Josh, but at some point, if you're the player everyone thinks you are, you have to win the games.
Right. Man the sirens, by the way. Breaking news. All pro teams have been released as we're recording, so this is perfect timing. First team, quarterback, Lamar Jackson. Second team, quarterback, Josh Allen.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
Where does it say that?
Rob, Maaddi. I also got confirmation from my work that it's legit. It's they're released.
I'm not surprised.
NFL writer, insider, host of Faith on the Field, AP Philly, and 97.5 Fantastic alum. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, that's a legit writer for the NFL.
Is it his teams, though, or is it the actual teams?
No, it's like hashtag Eagles 2024 AP All Pros.
No, it is, yeah.
And listing them. Yeah, like he's listing every team. Yeah, first team offense, Lamar Jackson. Second team offense, Josh Allen.
I'm not really surprised.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking for other Bills currently. Anywhere on this list, but failing to see any on the second team. Just on a quick look, and then third team, or no third team.
Yeah, he got 30 first team votes for all team. Josh is 18. I wonder if that's going to change. I think he's going to win the MVP now.
Lamar.
Mm-hmm.
You think he's MVP favorite now?
Has to be.
I wonder if the odds could they have flipped at this point? Is the
Probably.
question. Let's see. NFL MVP odds. Breaking news on the Buffalonian here. Let's see. NFL MVP odds. Allen was minus like 475. He's minus 450 currently. But it might be too soon to have had odds take effect at this point. So, yeah, we'll have to keep our eyes on that. But Allen might have. You're totally right. Allen might have lost MVP there.
I don't know. I think it's over. I mean, I don't know. Again, I will say this, though. And Joe has to be my witness here because I did say this. I did say that I thought there was a chance that Lamar is going to be first team All-Pro, Offensive Player of the Year, and Josh is going to win the MVP and be second team All-Pro. So I don't know. I think I think there is a little bit of a difference between being the All-Pro team and being the MVP. A little bit, but I don't know.
Let's see. You know what? I'm in the final minutes here. Has a player ever won MVP, but we're second team All-Pro? Elway, 1987, Steve McNair, 2003, and also Tony Romo himself has done that, I believe.
Tony Romo's not won the MVP.
No, I'm kidding. It was a joke. Gag post. But
McNair, okay, that was weird because I think McNair was co-MVP.
Was that the year of the co-MVP? Let's see.
But I think Elway's right. I think Elway might have had one MVP in '87, and I think Montana might have been the first team All-Pro.
Yes, that post is right. I read a gag comment of the Tony because it was Antonio Romo.
Okay,
I was kidding. So
yeah, so it's not over yet.
Yeah, you never know. Anything can happen.
Let me actually see that. '87. Yep, it was MVP, second team AP All-Pro. '87. Who was the first team All-Pro for the quarterback?
Elway, who is the only quarterback to never be a first team All-Pro in the entire history of the AP MVP award, but be MVP.
Yeah, because I think McNair, you could count McNair, but McNair was co-MVP, so it makes sense if he was second team.
Listen, I think the writing's on the wall. I think the writing is on the wall. Who's the GM of the team we're playing this weekend? John Elway. Or owner, right? What is he? He's the GM, Elway. He passed on Allen in 2018. I think the writing's on the wall. I think Allen still wins MVP. If you hear it right now, I'm saying.
I'm really mad that this isn't recording when I said that though.
When you said what?
What?
When you said what? Before we started, when we were
just
chit-chatting?
Pre-show. I'm
Yeah.
not surprised. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little bit more disappointed than I thought I was. Yeah, because it would have been nice. I mean, Josh has never been first team All Pro. This is his second team All Pro because
Yeah.
he tied Mahomes. That was a weird year. He tied Mahomes in 2020, so they were both second team All Pros.
So for anyone listening, just as we
Yeah,
wrap,
and also I don't want to cut you off. Sorry, but
no,
no
you're
Deion
good.
Dawkins on the All Pro team.
Deion Dawkins did not make it. That's who I was looking for specifically.
Deion
Actually,
Dawkins did not
yeah.
make it because it was Wirfs and Malata, and no corner, no Christian Benford. Interesting. Who made the first team All Pro kicker? Because Chris Boswell made first team All Pro. I thought it was gonna be Aubrey. He was second team.
Yeah. No, I still think Allen's MVP, and I will be maybe I'll put a heavy wager on it to double down. Who knows? I got some stuff saved up, so we'll see. But I think it might be an Elway situation. The valuableness of the MVP. Who knows? I don't know. Dom, for anyone listening, Dom did say this exact situation was going to happen before we hit the record button. So he hit with 100. He batted 1,000 on this.
The only
right
thing
now.
I'm concerned about would be I don't know how many AP voters are MVP voters.
Yeah, we don't.
Right, there's 48. Apparently there must be 48 because there was I guess maybe two people put. Never mind, there probably is 50, and two people probably put Joe Burrow. But how many percentage of people that are Lamar voters in the AP are MVP voters, and the same with Josh and other? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Yeah. It's definitely interesting. Also, another bit of breaking news: Deshaun Watson retore his Achilles and had to have surgery
I don't care
again.
about that. Get out of here with that.
No, I care because he's a scumbag of a human being.
Haven't
said that in a while.
You know, I knew when we were doing this pod, I was man, it's like noon. I assume these drop at noon.
That's why I wanted to wait a little bit, do it a little later than we normally do, because I was like, I kind of want to be recording when this happens, so we can get it out there. We don't have to wait till Tuesday. But
yeah, a little disappointing because again, it would have been. I think it's cool to say that you're a first-team All-Pro quarterback, and Josh, unfortunately, now still doesn't have that mark. And
yeah,
but we're not worried about first-team All-Pros or MVPs. We're worried about Super Bowls here. So
yeah. As far as I'm concerned, it's whatever. But thank God that came out as we wrapped up. But at the end of the day, he's not the first-team All-Pro. Still could be MVP. I'm going to follow those odds. If he dips, I'm gonna hit it. I'm gonna hit him and see if it comes through. Hopefully it does. Hopefully it's an Elway situation. But anything else you want to add before we wrap it up here, following the little breaking news?
nope. Other than
Go Bills.
let's take care of business on Sunday and have a good show to talk about on Tuesday.
Yes, sir. Survive in advance. That's going to do it for this edition of the Buffalonian Podcast, betting on the Bills 2025. Not so super wildcard weekend edition. I'm Joe Cali. As always, I'm joined by none other than Dom Loss. And Dom, how do we always end these, buddy?
Go Bills, baby.
Go Bills.